What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Secret Artist and this top secret connoisseur. Shh.
Keep it real with me and I keep it 100. Kings and queens, yeah, shout out my gunners. Trust no bitch, don't trust my tight circle.
You know what time it is. I'm back with another video because I believe I've been gone so long. Couple months now, just on a hiatus, and I'm like, damn, I need to get back to what I love doing, and that's making videos and content for y'all. Because I've been going down deep in the rabbit hole of religion, and that's gonna be our next video that we're gonna be doing today. It's gonna be the search for Jesus, crucifixion, relics, holy marvels with Dennis Quaid. So let's see what this video is about. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give my honest opinion. So what you could do for me is like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on post notifications for more video. Just like that. Let's just get to the video.
Today, nearly every Christian church holds a cross, meant to evoke the one that Christ died on. But what happened to the original cross, the one commonly known as the true cross? The story of this legendary relic begins some 2,000 years ago.
The cross is a symbol synonymous with Jesus Christ himself, because as we know, Jesus was sentenced by the Romans to death by crucifixion.
In Jerusalem, crucifixions are carried out on top of a hill known as Golgotha. In the Aramaic language of the region, Golgotha means place of the skull, partly due to the way that the rocky cliff there sort of resembles a human skull.
Once at the crucifixion site, Jesus is nailed to part of the cross while it's still on the ground.
Yo, like, do y'all hear this? Like, sick, very, very sick, like, punishment by the Romans? They're gonna nail you to a piece of 4x4. That's crazy. Then they're gonna raise you up, put you in the ground on a hill, and be like, look at them. Outrageous.
Then it's hoisted up and attached to the rest of the wood.
Crucifixion is actually a slow process.
Madness.
It can take up to, say, 4 days of someone hanging there in order to finally succumb. What we hear from the Gospels is that Jesus dies relatively quickly, in a matter of hours. While he's hanging on the cross, according to the Gospel of John, one soldier even pierces Jesus on the side with a spear. He wants to make sure that he's dead.
The cross used in the crucifixion of Christ is known as the true cross, and Christians have been practically obsessed with it for 2,000 years. Think about it. The wooden beams of this cross would be soaked with the blood, sweat, and tears of the Son of God, shed during the moment of his excruciating death and ultimate glory. Any physical remnants of the cross would be among the most highly valued artifacts in human history. During the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in 312 AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine has a vision of something floating in the sky above his army's encampment. Some versions of the legend say he sees the early Christian symbol known as the He Rho, or Chi Rho, Greek letters that spell out the beginning of the name Christ. In other versions, he sees a cross of light in the sky accompanied by the words, "Conquer by this." Taking it as a sign, he orders his soldiers' shields to be marked with this religious symbol. And when they emerge victorious in battle, he becomes a true believer and converts, making Constantine the very first Christian emperor.
Then, around 324 AD, Constantine sets his sights on finding the true cross.
Constantine wants to be able to quickly convince his subjects of his power and his newfound faith by proving that Jesus has made the ultimate sacrifice by dying on the cross to save mankind. But he wants evidence. What better way to do that than to find the actual cross?
See, and that's the main thing a lot of people don't really understand. A lot of people don't understand that majority of these wars that have transpired they're not actually wars for resources. Like, in a sense, yes, but they're actually a war for national treasures. They're trying to conquer them all, like Pokemon, right? They're trying to gather all these ancient artifacts and trying to keep it for themselves because it might hold some type of special type of power. That's all it is at the end of the day. Like, these sick individuals, these elites, they all want power at the end of the day and control over humanity. It's crazy.
The mother of Roman Emperor Constantine is scouring Jerusalem in search of the true cross used to crucify Jesus.
Helena thinks the most likely resting place for relics of the crucifixion would be Jesus' tomb. And she hears a rumor that a local Jewish man knows where to find it. Ironically, his name is Judas. In some versions of the story, Judas is helpful. In others, Helena has to torture the information out of him by putting him in a well for 7 days and starving him before he'll finally give up the secret.
Judas divulges that the burial site of Jesus is located under what is now a pagan temple dedicated to the Roman goddess Venus. So, she has the building demolished and the ground underneath excavated.
Helena begins what is really the first Christian archaeological excavation in history.
They find what seems to be remnants of 3 crosses. And so now for Helena, the issue is, how do you tell which cross belonged to Jesus?
So a very sick woman is brought in, and they think, okay, the real piece of wood is going to produce miracles. So they touch a piece of wood to the sick woman, and she gets miraculously better. What this demonstrates is that the wood has divine powers. This is it. Helena has found the true cross.
The legends say that Helena divides up the sacred wood and leaves some of it there in Jerusalem. Over the site of the crucifixion and the tomb, a new church is built, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which houses one part of the true cross.
Helena also takes a section of the cross back to Constantinople. The story goes that Constantine has a large piece of that wood encased inside a giant bronze statue of himself, standing atop a column that's over 120 feet tall. It's a major symbol of the emperor's power.
The rest of the wood from the true cross is allegedly scattered across Rome's empire.
Some believe the fragments of the true cross bring protection or good health or heal the illness of any person lucky enough to touch one. So over the next few decades, the cross fragments are dispersed as holy relics to churches and cathedrals.
Meanwhile, the piece left behind in Jerusalem has a much more eventful journey.
Around 614 AD, Jerusalem's piece of the true cross is stolen from the Holy Sepulchre by Persian invaders when they captured the city. But then, supposedly the same wood is returned about 15 years later after the Romans take back Jerusalem.
In 1009, it's nearly stolen a second time by Al-Hakim, who's known as the Mad Caliph of Egypt. Legends say believers hide the relics of the cross just before he invades Jerusalem and destroys the Holy Sepulchre.
This conflict ignites a war that eventually becomes known as the Crusades.
The word crusade comes from the Latin word crucis signatus, which means one marked by the cross. So hundreds of Christian soldiers go on what they see as this kind of spiritual mission to Jerusalem to free the Holy Land from Muslim rule and to save important relics like the true cross. The Crusades become a nearly 200-year-long series of increasingly brutally bloody battles.
The First Crusade helps the Christians reconquer Jerusalem in 1099. After that, Crusaders actually start carrying a piece of the cross into battle with them as a talisman. More famously, it's carried by the bishop of the city of Acre into a conflict known as the Battle of Hattin in Galilee in 1187.
During that battle, it's captured by Muslim forces.
The cross is now in the hands of Muslim Sultan Saladin. Some accounts say he is quite disrespectful with this holy Christian relic, even dragging it behind his horse as he rides. Saladin knows the symbolic importance of the true cross, and he uses it as a bargaining chip multiple times during negotiations with England's King Richard I, aka Richard the Lionheart.
Richard I is a Christian and one of the driving forces behind the Crusades. He and Saladin are at odds over control of Jerusalem and the area's holy sites. They try to work out a truce agreement that includes returning the cross to the Christians. But by the end of the Third Crusade in 1192, there is no truce and no cross. The part of the true cross that Helena left in Jerusalem is last seen with Saladin in Damascus, and then it pretty much disappears from the historical record.
After that, despite multiple attempts to stay in Jerusalem, the Christians are largely driven out of the region, but apparently they take some souvenirs home with them.
Even some allegedly find their way back to a few Catholic churches.
The Catholic Church and later the Vatican develop an entire office that deals with the authentication of these relics.
3 fragments end up enshrined in the Basilica of the Holy Cross in Jerusalem.
The Vatican owns an artifact called the Crux Vaticana. It dates back to the 6th century and was a gift from the Emperor Justin II of Constantinople, where much of the original wood fragments from the true cross were kept. From the past 1,500 years, this reliquary has been brought out for annual Easter and Christmas ceremonies. In April 2023, as a coronation gift to King Charles III, Pope Francis gives him an elaborate silver cross. Inside, according to the Pope himself, are 2 small pieces of the true cross.
Visitors from around the world still clamor to get a glimpse of these iconic religious artifacts.
If this is real and this is true, we're in some real trouble. 2023, we're in some real trouble. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Fucking hell, bro. If that is still going around and it's 2 small pieces of the true cross, yo, I hope you knew. Yeah, yo, we're in the end times and we're cooked. We're absolutely cooked. These people were cooked. Cooked. If Prince Charles has 2 small pieces of fragment of the true cross, yo, we're fucking cooked. That was gifted from the Pope. We're cooked, bro. We're cooked. They're using black magic on that. We're cooked. We're absolutely cooked, bro. Like, it's crazy how they really try to keep anything in regards to the coming of Christ a hidden story, an elaborate story. But there's so different stories and documentation that God came back on a human form, right? Sent his, he sent his son. This is like, okay, cool. All that happened. Then they have the Crusades. Okay, that's facts, right? When you play video games, they're always talking about the Crusades and different times like that with the popes and things of that nature, right? And obviously, at the end of the day, all of that was definitely 100% was religious wars, where these religious people, different religions, Christianities and Muslims in particular, going to war. And as I said at the beginning, they're going to war for ancient artifacts. If you go back and watch the movie with Nicolas Cage, National Treasure, you will understand that majority of wars, majority of these type of events are for ancient artifacts, right? Because they believe it has some special type of power that they could endorse and use it as power. If you have the power, you have control, right? So with all of this going down, and Prince Charles was gifted in 2023 2 fragments of the true cross. We're cooked, bro. Not even joking, bro. We're cooked. Let me know what you think and leave your comments down below, because my mind's blown, right? So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications for more videos, and just like that, I'll be back on another.
Let's go. Grab the knees, showing sex on beach, no wrist, them V's. She fuck with me, come a G. Grab beneath, yeah. Grab beneath, yeah. Grab beneath, yeah. Grab beneath.